Okay, in this video I'm going to be going through the solution to the token pass problem that is on AP Classroom. Just like last time, if you haven't already looked at the problem itself and read through it a little bit, go ahead and pause the video here and then come back when you are familiar with what the problem is asking. So I have already written the header for the constructor. I picked this problem because it has a lot of components in it that are really common. It has random numbers, it has array creation, array traversal, a lot of good stuff. So that's what we're actually going to start with here is the creation of an array because we have this board field that is an array of integers and it's been initialized, but it hasn't been, sorry, it's been declared, but not initialized. So that's really job number one in the constructor is to initialize the current player and the board array. So when we initialize an array, it already has a name. Remember, we're not putting int out here. We're not going to do that because it's already been declared. And we don't need to put any brackets or anything over here on the left side. We just need to say this board gets a new integer array with player count values in it because each spot in the array is going to represent the tokens of one player. So that's been done. We now need to initialize each spot in that array to contain a random number from 1 to 10. So this is a quick reminder on random numbers. So remember when you're doing your for loops, make sure you're doing I is less than board dot length for arrays. For array lists, it's board dot size with parentheses. This length thing does not have parentheses because it's not a method. It's not a getter. It's the actual length property. So for the array class, the length property is not encapsulated. You have direct access to it. And then, all right, so we are assigning values to our board. So board I, and we're doing random integers. So we need to cast our math.random as an integer. So math.random is a function of the math library. We're casting it as an integer. So make sure you cast after multiplying. Remember, if you leave out this extra set of parentheses, it's going to immediately cast a decimal from 0 to 1 as an integer, and that's always going to result in an answer of 0. So that's bad. Make sure you get that second set of parentheses in there so that when you multiply by the range, it's become a bigger number, and then you truncate it using the integer. They want a range of 1 to 10, which is 10 different numbers. So I'm going to be multiplying by 10 and then adding 1 to make sure that instead of getting 0 through 9, I get 1 through 10. 0 through 9 is 10 numbers. 1 through 10 is 10 numbers. I want 1 through 10, so I'm going to add 1 to my result. And then it will cast it as an integer, truncating the decimal. So that is random numbers. And then finally, we're supposed to initialize player, let's see, initialize current player, which already exists. And current player needs to be initialized also to a random number. Needs to be in the range of the indices of this array. So that's why they say from 0 to player count minus 1. 0 to player count minus 1 is player count values. That's the size or the range of that set of numbers. So like imagine there were 5 players. I would need a number from 1 to 4 or 0 to 4, which is 5 numbers. So you're going to take your math.random and multiply it by player count. Squeeze that in there. You don't need to add 1 because you do want it to start at 0 this time. So that should be it right there. Again, The range of numbers is 0 to player count minus 1, which means what we're multiplying by is player count. And then when we truncate that integer, then it will truncate it down to a maximum value of player count minus 1. And that's it. That's the constructor. So then this distribute tokens is a very silly method where we're going to grab a player's tokens and then redistribute them one at a time across the entire board. Blah, 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 blah. So this function needs to, yeah, it doesn't have any parameters. All right. So the job of this function is to grab the current player's tokens. So I'll just make a variable called tokens, and I will set it to the value of board current player. So we have this many tokens to redistribute across each of the spots in the board array. So we're going to be counting like starting, where are we supposed to start? What are the rules? Let's look at that again. So beginning with the next player in order. Okay, so we're going to start at current player plus 1. So I'll make another variable called, I don't know, just position, and make that current player plus 1, because I'm definitely going to need to keep track of where I am at in this distribution process. The tokens variable I will use to just count down until I have no tokens left. And then the only other thing we need to worry about is increasing this position value, but making sure it wraps around back to 0 when we get to the last spot in the distribution. So I guess I'll use a while loop. While tokens is greater than 0, that means we have tokens left to distribute. Let's see, when we distribute them, we'll be adding 1 to a spot on the board. So I'll be going board position plus plus, adding 1 to that spot. And then we're going to go position plus plus, so that the next token is passed to the next player, but we got to make sure that's not out of bounds. So there's two ways to do this. You could just write an if statement, do if position is bigger than or equal to, or really just equal to, it's not like you're ever going to go bigger than, board.length, then we will set it back to 0. The fancier way to do this, sorry, if you comment that out, the fancier way to do it is position equals position mod board.length. So that will always keep us in the range of board.length from 0 to board length minus 1. So whichever of those makes most sense to you, go with that. And let's see, is that it? Till then all just been distributed. Yeah. Okay, I think that takes care of it. So we'll wrap up our while loop. If I'm missing anything, you'll have to shoot me a message and let me know. But I think we did it. So there is your token pass FRQ parts A and parts B.